one of my favourite characters for quirks. There's quite a lot of famous ones. You've got Phoebe from Friends, for example. I mean, she was quirk central. Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter would be another good example. There's something about each of those characters that makes them a bit more unique from everyone else, and we can learn a lot about their personality by little quirks that they've got. What I want you to think about is think about the things that make you you. And I don't mean think about like what you listen to, what music you like, where you go on holiday, all that. That's not what I mean. What I mean is what really makes you you. For example, I'm really not at all bothered by spiders, but I'm paralysed with fear when I see a slug. Just the idea of them freaks me out. There's going to be something about you that makes you a little bit unusual. So what I want you to do is list them out. List out sort of things that you think, yeah, that's a bit strange, but really speaks to me as a person. And what I want you to do when you finish thinking about the ones for you is then think about the people that you know. Maybe you know somebody who won't use plastic cutlery and takes a metal teaspoon everywhere with them. Maybe you know somebody who copies everybody around them but is insistent that they always do things first. Maybe your friends have really interesting nicknames for their children. Whatever it might be, just list them down. Ask people on Facebook, stick up a status like, what would you say is something really unique about you? And then build a bank of them. Just have like a list of them, like in Evernote, whatever you use. I don't know. Just have a list of these quirks. So now, once we've done that, and make sure you've done that bit first, then have a look at, have you got existing characters? Can you see how any of those quirks might demonstrate something about your character? So, say you've got a gruff PI, and he takes cutlery everywhere with him and he won't use disposable cutlery. That might not have occurred to you before, but you might want to try and show that he's like really private and almost reclusive in a way and doesn't like interacting with other people. And a way of doing that might be he uses his own eating utensils. I don't know, that could be something you could put in there. The quirk can then hit a backstory without you actually having to go into the backstory. You see where I'm going with this? If you're coming up with a new character, don't try and shoehorn quirks in, so I've got my head in front of mine, just for the sake of it. But try and put something in that's actually going to be useful or that is going to show something. So what is it about your character you're trying to show? What kind of quirk can do that? Okay?
So the quirk could be pushing glasses up onto one's bridge of one's nose. That's a habit I picked up many years ago, and I find that even when I don't have my glasses on, periodically I'll stab myself in the forehead because, well, muscle memory. Now, it doesn't have to be something like that. It could be the starship captain who tugs on his uniform as he stands up, literally now known as the Picard tug in Star Trek. Patrick Stewart, the actor, got so used to pulling his uniform down as he stood up from the captain's chair that it became his signature maneuver. So let's look at the different types of quirks that you can incorporate into your character and how and what sort of efficacy they have in terms of building that character. So the very first one, of course, is some kind of utterance. This could be a subtle, quiet prayer to the gods. It could be some kind of saying, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, I'm prepared to die." Something along those lines. It could be some kind of phrase that the character says, "I've got a bad feeling about this." And prepare to have a reason for why they say it. When did they start saying it? Are they even aware that they say it? We had a wonderful thing happening in our office after a couple of years where we were given coffee mugs with our sayings on them. And I discovered that my coffee mug had been branded with the saying, and so forth and so on. Because generally speaking, I expect people to be able to carry on with the idea, and so forth and so on. Just keep on extrapolating what you know the process, you're not an idiot, just carry on, and so forth. I realized that was something that I had fallen back on saying quite often. Bringing a quirk to the character, though, is something that makes the character memorable. So you can use some kind of verbal cue. Now what this can do for your characters, it reinforces a particular saying for that character, becomes a catchphrase if you like. We love catchphrases. They were replete in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I'll be back, all those kind of wonderful things. So it creates a very memorable verbal trigger, which the rest of your party will naturally pick up on. Something like cowabunga, for example. Another one, which might be a little bit less subtle, which certainly can create a sense of character very quickly, is a favored item or object that the character must have before something can continue. It could be a sword, it could be a favored little trinket that hangs around the character's neck. How many movies have we seen where it is the necklace of my mother that I was given on her deathbed and I can't lose it? It was the ring that my bride gave to me before she was turned into mincemeat by combine homicide. All those kind of wonderful things. All of that just creates wonderful, wonderful character. Now, the benefit that has is that the GM can now take that away from your character, which can cause your character to go into panic. They must get it back because, well, it's their name. The idea behind the object is that it creates something that the party can buy into, as well as your character. And if you make sure that your character is really attached to it, it becomes a thing. The last type of quirk that you can really bring into this whole thing is some kind of neuroses, some kind of action that your character always takes. This is a very powerful visual component, so you have to be sure to describe it very, very clearly and describe it in the same way each time so that it reinforces that visual image. And that is the action that a character can take before they do something. So the action might be, as a classic example, before a battle, they kneel, they take up a handful of soil, which they hold tightly in their fist. They close their eyes for a moment, find their inner calm, and then stand, allowing the sand to slowly drain out from between their fingers. And then they launch into combat. It could be something as simple as they touch their bent finger to the middle of their forehead, gather their thoughts, and then are prepared.
Now there are fun quirks. There are quirks that people have, and you may have seen these kinds of quirks in people. For example, someone would have a quirk which is to constantly do this with the fingers. That's the quirk. The other one would be to maybe just keep doing this with their lips. Be to just making stuff up. Maybe breathe in on an occasional basis very heavily in, or it can be maybe they'd like to put their top forward for no reason. That's a quirk. So let's try this. Let's find a position of a character, body position, to identify a character, and now add a quirk on top of that. What quirk would your character have? Okay, so let's do that. And this time, we will not use words. If you have a sound, your character would make, just do a sound. For example, my character would go, and someone else can continue from there. Lovely. Go, Shishma. Yeah, multiple people keep going. It's all right. All right, lovely. That was brilliant. Now pick one more. Pick one more. So that we do it twice and it kind of registers more. Okay. another quirk.
Mm.
Mm.
Ooh.
Mm. Mm.
Have you seen the one in which they go?
Mm. 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 Nice one, Ansela. Okay, lovely. Great job, everyone.